Welcome to the basic tactics course here on Structured Chess Training. The goal of this course is to provide you with the main tactical skills that you will need to succeed at maybe below 1200 level or 1000, a bit on that range. And first, I want to make a distinction between tactics and strategy. So when we talk about strategy, we mean plans, abstract ideas. So I will control a file, I will fight for the center, things like that. Meanwhile, tactics are usually concrete, direct threats, direct attacks, direct ideas. So there's a mate in 3 in this position. There's a pin that I can exploit. Things that are specific to a given moment of the game and that we can take a concrete advantage from. So we are checkmating the opponent, we are winning a piece, something tangible that we can get out of it. There's also calculation, which would be the skill to plan ahead several moves in a concrete way so that we can figure out what happens after the end of a tactic and whether the result is favorable or not. Also, of course, finding what are the different alternatives that our opponent could go for. And it's important to focus on tactics, especially early on in a player's development, because tactics give us the types of things that usually decide a game. So it doesn't really matter if we control an open file, if the opponent has a weak square, if then we go on to hang a bishop for nothing. The advantages we get from strategy are usually small in comparison with hanging pieces, as we saw on the beginner's course, or other more complicated ways to directly win material that we will explore in this tactics course. Okay, so what are we actually gonna get in this basic tactics course? We will start with simple mate in 2 problems, maybe a bit of the more tedious part of the course. So we will focus on very short, only 2 move long sequences of forced moves that we have to calculate accurately. So we need to visualize what will happen after our first move, our opponent's first move, and then our final second move that delivers checkmate. So not all sequences are perfectly forced. Sometimes we'll have to consider different alternatives, but for the most part, it's about accurately calculating a couple of moves ahead. This doesn't just help with identifying checkmates, but it also builds the subjacent skill to other types of calculation. Then we will move on to some of the main tactical patterns, some of the main motifs. We're discussing here pins and forks and discover check and removal of defenders, distractions. So the types of patterns that are common in chess that allow us to make tactical blows to win advantages, to take the opponent's pieces, and other times to get other sorts of advantages. But here, since we want to focus mainly on the patterns themselves, I will use examples that are perfectly clear. So we will be most of the time checkmating our opponent, winning a queen, a rook, a minor piece, those types of things. But of course, this isn't really a set of concepts, so a body of knowledge that you must learn or study. This is a skill that you need to practice and develop. So this means the videos will be rather short and there will be only a few of them. Most of the work will be done by yourself with the problems, with the exercises that will be linked in the descriptions of the videos. Those are Lichess studies containing tons of examples of mates in 2 and specific exercises for each of the individual patterns that we learn, and then a final study that contains exercises with multiple things combined together. So it's important that you solve them, hundreds of them, until you develop this skill and it starts coming naturally to you. This will greatly benefit you in games, especially in longer games when you don't have that much time to think. The ability to find patterns, tactical blows, is basically the same as finding tactical blows fast. So the faster the game, the more tactical it becomes. Still, if you're doing, for instance, the other basic level courses, so basic strategy or basic endgames, there are also exercises there, and those take a long time to think and solve. Here, I don't mean you should rush through them, but they are meant to be solved faster. So there are more exercises, hundreds of exercises to solve in shorter periods. Well, ideally as long as you need to find the right continuation, but it should mostly be short. Sometimes you may get stuck on some, but for the most part, they should be short. Of course, as I mentioned, those other basic courses, don't hesitate to check them out. The idea is with the basic tactics, strategy, endgames, and opening courses to build up the foundations to succeed in lower rated level chess, so maybe up to 12, even 1400 maybe. So yeah, we should build our skills in a balanced way, even though, as I've said, tactics is probably the most important one. If you lack tactics, pretty much nothing else will matter. And of course, I hope you have fun doing this course. Some people love solving puzzles, others not so much, but I hope you find them beautiful and interesting, as well as useful to develop a skill. And without anything else to say, let's get ahead and start with the first chapter.